My new book, Facts That Aren't True, is out now. Don't forget about my other book, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. Click the link in the description now.
Okay, Eric, do you have a spirit? Okay, well, so there's none. You don't. Okay, let's jump to what did the first life come from, and where did Earth come from? No, what was the matter? Where did the matter for the Earth come from?
So you're arguing in bad faith because you didn't want to know where people came from. You're ultimately just trying to backtrack to why does the universe exist or where did it come from?
Where did the matter? Where did the matter from? What did the Big Bang make? Did the Big Bang make hydrogen and helium? Do you think hydrogen and helium from the Big Bang turned into people? Do you think we came from stardust? Do you think people?
I think that's where elements heavier than hydrogen for the most part come from.
Okay,
as is rigorously confirmed by the scientific method.
Okay. Do you think that we're related to snakes, Eric?
We share genes with snakes. That's what it means to be related.
Okay. Do you think we're related to ferns? Actually, the humans are bigger than the snakes by about 1 billion.
Okay.
Do you think we're related to ferns?
We share genes with them, and yes, there is a fern with 23,000 chromosomes. That's not a problem.
Okay, and are we related to bacteria?
We share genes with them. That's what it means to be related to something.
Okay. It's just yes or no would be fine. What inside that circle, what is the evidence that supports what's inside that circle?
The fact that we share genes with them. That's what it means to be related to something.
Okay, so has C14 been found in dinosaur bones?
You can find C14 in anything, including metal, which has no carbon in it, because there's always contamination. This has been experimentally verified.
Okay, so can we test carbon dating?
Yeah.
Or is that falsified? Oh, but it could be carbon dating. Well, they have found dinosaurs. You could go to newgeology.usa.
Yeah, okay, you find carbon-14 in metal, which has no carbon in it.
Which dinosaurs turned into birds?
Oh, geez, you really don't know anything about evolution.
Which one of these which one has bird hips? Stegosaurus or the T-Rex?
How are you like this? This is not how you determine what evolved from what.
Okay, well,
how do you get me to 6,000 years?
Their prediction. He accurately predicted the magnetic field of Uranus and Neptune and he used a 6,000-year model. The Big Bangers had it way different.
How does it work? Is there any science behind how magnetic fields form and decay over time according to creationism?
Well, it decays.
How? How does any of this work?
Well, it decays, yeah, and it decays, and it can't.
What is the range of acceptable answers for how far should we be able to see, given that the universe is 6,000 years old?
Well, as far as the telescopes can go.
What's the range of acceptable answers?
As far as they can, whatever technology they can look as far as the technology lets them look.
I'm not asking you about technology. I'm asking you what's the range. I'm not asking you the limits of technology. What is the acceptable range for how far we should be able to see if the universe was created 6,000 years ago?
As far as technology allows us, we can see as far as.
I'm not asking you about technology. So you're just saying the answer is whatever the answer is.
No, we can see as far as the technology allows us to see. That's what I'm saying. There's no range for how far we can see. We can see as far as the range, as far as technology allows.
You're completely misunderstanding my question. If the universe is only 6,000 years old, what I'm trying to get to is, why do we see for billions of light years? How is that in any way congruous with 6,000-year creation?
God made the stars on 6 days, and then he stretched out the heavens.
What evidence of that do you have?
That's why we got the accelerating. Our universe is expanding at an accelerating rate, and you have to figure out things. Imagine dark energy doing that. I know.
What evidence that God created the stars and everything the way we see it today, 6,000 years ago, do you have?
The heavens declare the glory of God.
So you have no evidence.
Of what?
What I just asked you.
About how far we can see?
What evidence do you have that the universe was created billions of light years across 6,000 years ago?
The Bible.
That's what you call evidence.
It's a historical document.
Do you consider this to be science, what you're doing?
Yeah. Okay. What? How is that? God stretched out the heavens.
What evidence of that do you have?
He stretched them out.
What evidence of that do you have?
It says that several times in the Bible. He stretched it out. He stretched it out.
That's not evidence. What evidence of that do you have? How can you explain this scientifically?
I believe he created everything with the word of his mouth.
That's a scientific explanation to you?
Well, there's science that backs it up.
Such as?
Semantics.
What?
Semantics.
What is semantics?
It's the science of visible sound.
What does that have to do with the universe being billions of light years across?
Well, he if he can make stuff with his voice, he can do that.
I'm asking for evidence of what? What does this thing about sound waves have to do with the universe being billions of light years across?
It has to do with him creating it. The Bible says that by the word of his testimony, by his word, he made stuff. By his word, the faith through understanding, the worlds that were framed by the word of God. And so by his word, that's what he did. And there's a science called semantics that is kind of validating that.
In what way does it validate that the universe is only 6,000 years old?
Well, it's just, not the age, but that sounds can produce things.
So you think that, jeez, where on earth do we go from here? Did God use the laws of physics to create the universe?
I wasn't there.
So you have no idea. Does God use the laws of physics to perform his miracles?
Hey, I'm not God. I'm.
So you have no idea.
I have no idea.
So should we discard the God hypothesis because it violates the laws of physics?
What's that?
Should we discard the God hypothesis from science because it violates the laws of physics?
Well, no, it just defeats the definition of science, not the laws of science.
Okay, are you going to retract your statement that an explanation that requires miracles is not scientific? Because you said that.
Well, that's because you go a little farther in the talk, and I say if you allow for God and the miracles at the beginning, you don't break any laws of physics. And what I'm talking about is changing the definition of science
How does a miracle preserve the laws of physics?
What?
How does a miracle preserve the laws of physics?
How does a miracle preserve the laws of physics?
Yes. How is a miracle consistent with the laws of physics? A miracle, by definition, is the violation of the laws of physics.
Well, yeah, you tell me. You tell me where the matter came from without violating laws of physics. You tell me how it all got organized without violating laws of physics. You tell me how life
I'm not trying to give you... I've never given you an answer of where the universe came from.
I know. It's a perspective of the past, and you need to look into that.
I don't know isn't a perspective. It's an admission of something, but it's not a perspective. You're trying to sell people that a miracle happened while saying that your system is scientific, while saying miracles, if you have a miracle in your explanation, it needs to be thrown out and it's not scientific. This is so contradictory.
We all believe in miracles, Eric.
No, I don't.
Okay, then where did the matter come from?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it had to
Is that a miracle? Is me saying I don't know what happened,
Wait.
me saying that a miracle happened?
Okay, just because you don't know how it happened doesn't mean it
The question
didn't
was,
happen.
if I say I don't know what happened, does that mean I'm claiming that a miracle happened?
Well, where did the matter come from?
The question is, if I say I don't know what happened, does that mean I'm claiming that a miracle happened?
That's semantics.
Yeah, so the question is, if I don't know what happened, am I claiming that a miracle happened?
Well, you're not claiming it, but you're...
Precisely.
But it still had to happen in your worldview. You still had to have matter from nothing, life from non-life. It had to happen, whether you know how it happened or not. And if you don't know how it happened, how do you know God didn't do it?
Do you still actually think, and are you going to keep saying that the Big Bang is when nothing turned into the universe? Because they think that's really uncharitable and not accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, where did the matter come from? It can't be. It can't be.
We don't know, but we don't say that it came from nothing. So and I had this same sentiment. I don't get why you say that. It's a really bizarre, cheap attack, I think.
Well, that's what Lawrence Krauss said. It came from nothing. The universe.
Have you read his book? Because he doesn't say that it's literally nothing.
Well, yeah, then it's not nothing. He changed the definition of nothing. And then before that, you had the guy in the wheelchair. He said the universe from gravity. It's
gravity's not nothing. Gravity. Gravity's not nothing. So are you're going to continue saying that people like me believe that nothing turned into the universe, even though I'm sitting here telling you that we don't think that?
Well, what did turn into the universe then?
We don't know. That's not the claim that it was nothing.
So you don't know if nothing turned into it, and you don't know if God did it. So you really can't.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, but you're putting words into my mouth. Do you not see that?
Well, if you don't know how it happened, how do you know God didn't do it?
I don't know that. I'm agnostic, but you don't have evidence for it.
There we go.
But the question is, are you going to keep telling people that atheists believe nothing turned into something? Because that's just
show me how I'm wrong.
I literally have told you several times.
Well, no, you say you don't know how it came from. Well, show me what it did come from. If it wasn't nothing,
I had to ask. Well, we'll have to move on here. I think everybody gets it. I had to ask you 3 times that if I don't know, does that mean that I claim it came from nothing? And you refused to answer it. So I think you've kind of been caught here in that. But anyways.
Well, not knowing doesn't prove that it didn't come from nothing or that it didn't come from God.
That's not it. Saying I don't know isn't an endorsement. I can't say it any more clearly than that. So I really hope you stop strawmanning our position like that in the future.
Well, what is your position? What did the universe come from?
I've told you so many times I don't know.
Okay,
and that
so
includes,
you don't know what happened.
And that includes that the universe came from anything. There's no logical problem with an eternal universe.
If you don't know that it didn't come from nothing, how can you say that I'm wrong?
You're putting words in my mouth, Brian.
Why should I stop saying it then, if you can't prove me wrong?
Why should you stop lying about what I believe? You're actually asking me that?
How is it a lie if you can't prove that it didn't come from
Brian,
nothing?
do I believe that the universe came from nothing?
Well, Lawrence Krauss does, but then he changed the definition.
You are so incapable of engaging in good faith with this. Do I believe that?
Well, if I'm wrong, prove it. I don't know is not proof.
Do I believe that the universe came from nothing?
Apparently not.
Okay. So
but you don't know what it
then
did
it's
come from.
Wrong for you to go around saying that's what I believe because it's a lie and you're putting words into my mouth. That's the answer to your question. Why should I stop doing it? Why should Brian Lauer stop lying? I would hope that Brian Lauer doesn't want to be a liar. But if you're going to peddle this nonsense, then I guess maybe that's your only choice.